guest today is Gina Casazza. Gina is an author of a children's book, a filmmaker, and an entrepreneur. In her personal life, she trained with a Navy SEAL and paid to be kidnapped through the Civilian Kidnapping Experience course. She's also conquered her fear of sharks and snakes. She says it's about living life and experiencing it. A passion for literacy led her to start the nonprofit Empower Lit, Literacy and Beyond, which brings reading to underserved schools. Her children's book is You Really Truly Do Belong, which encourages young readers to have a sense of self-acceptance and belonging. Welcome to my show, Gina.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So you have an interesting backstory. I like your themes of authenticity and resilience. I don't know anybody else who's trained with a Navy SEAL and paid to be kidnapped. It reminds me, I didn't realize there was such a program. It reminds me of the 90s movies. The 90s movie, The Game, starring Michael Douglas and Sean Penn.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it?
I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
Oh, it's one of those you can only watch once and you can't tell anybody. What made you choose to be kidnapped? Tell me that story.
I was living in Los Angeles, crime was on the rise, and I just it was like in the middle of COVID where it was just like really crazy and the news was fear-mongering, and I just was like, I wonder if I could escape a kidnapping, like if I'd survived. And I said it out loud, and my mom was with me, and she was like, no. And I was like, you said that too quickly. Think about it. She goes, I don't need to think about it. Like, you wouldn't do it. And then I was like, well, there got to be someone that teaches that, because I wouldn't have thought about that if like LA was a safe area, but if it was what it was when I moved there 10 years ago. But this is totally different. And, there was a real fear of like even just going and walking to my car. So I was like, there has to be someone that teaches this, not just self-defense, but other things that can be quick and, and efficient. And that's when I started Googling kidnapping schools or kidnapping experiences. And then I stumbled across a survival school that did a civilian SERE program. And SERE is something that the military does. The special forces go through it.
What's it stand for? CERE.
Survival, Evasion, Resistance, Escape. And it's like if the Taliban was to kidnap you, right? But I didn't know that. I thought it was going to be a normal, everyday kidnapping.
What's the difference?
The difference is I thought that I would be putting groceries in my car, and then someone comes up from behind me and tries to stuff me in a trunk. To me, that's what my mind was with the kidnapping. Whereas this was, you get kidnapped, you get tortured, you get to escape, and then you get hunted all night in the woods. And that was just like,
you? They didn't torture you for
torture. Yeah, it was like 3 to 4 hours. My group got tortured before they got the opportunity to escape. I think what
kind of torturing? Physical torturing?
So yeah, it was everything. They put someone's head in overlooking a bowl of shit. So they were right there for 45 minutes. They cold showered everybody, soaked, and it was 37 degrees outside. Also, it's nighttime, so there's no sun to warm you up. And you go with what you have. There's no change of clothes. So there was just a lot. Now the first day,
with the opportunity to escape,
yeah.
Did they tell you would have an opportunity, or you had to figure that out? Oh, they told you.
You don't just go there and they kidnap you and go through this. You have a day of training. So you have a day and a half of training. And
good. They're going to teach you some mindset. They're not just going to hurt you. They're going to give you some skills, some mindset tools, I take it.
The whole goal is for you to make it through. The whole goal is for you to not use your safe word, and for you to have the tools to know how to escape and what to do. Also, there is, you do sign a waiver, but there's this fear, I'm sure, of, well, one, I do have my own podcast, and I did have one of my instructors on the podcast. And he said, you do think about some stuff, like we're in California in the woods. There are snakes that are poisonous. What happens if one of them gets bit by a snake? How are we going to be able to get them out of here, get to the hospital, and all that? But that's very low on the totem pole compared to the other things. To me, I thought that was a high
Yeah, I
thing,
wouldn't
but
be worried
that's
about the
not.
snakes.
They were like, that's not, they're like, we're more worried about, they were very worried about me. They had a special meeting about me because they didn't give me super, like, there wasn't very in-depth instructions. And for someone that has zero survival skills, and my
But
family's
they
never
said it was
camped.
a whole day of
Yes, yes, it is. But the thing is, like, and they send you an email to like what to bring, what to have, to make it through for the weekend. But for me, I didn't, my family's never camped a day in their life, just to throw
yeah,
it out
yeah.
in terms of survival. Okay.
They
We do
make a lot
not,
of assumptions. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like they've done this before, and they think it's a pretty basic list.
Well, like they
Yeah,
were like, have a headlamp, have a tent, because like the first night we're outside, we're in our tent, the sleeping
yeah,
bag, all that stuff. But I didn't know that cotton kills. I didn't know that you should never be wearing cotton as your only form of clothing. You should have something else because,
yeah. Or that maybe your sleeping bag was too heavy, and you're gonna have to run 10 miles, so you should have brought something lighter. But then the weather changes, so what if it rains? Like you're saying, I should have brought cotton. There's a lot of things that.
a lot that I didn't know. The cotton one was a really, really big deal because I lived in Southern California. I didn't own a coat.
But here's the thing, Gina, just comes to mind also. You're lucky you had any training because real people that get kidnapped have no training.
Right. Is that, well, that's why I'm doing this. I feel like every single human being on the planet should be thinking about this stuff, but maybe that's just me. But like for myself, it's like you should, as a parent, should be teaching your child self-defense, right? You should be teaching them social awareness. You'd actually be surprised at how many people don't know social awareness, right? And
What do
or
you mean by
situational,
social awareness?
I'm sorry,
Oh, okay.
situational awareness. Yeah. They should have, I mean, they should also have social awareness and be able to pick up on social cues if someone's like, awkward, or someone, doesn't want to talk to you, or someone is way too over
I'm the
friendly.
worst at that. I trust everybody. I cannot tell if you're lying, trustworthy. I always pick wrong. Like the bad guy trust, the good person I'm skeptical of. And um, so I don't know about social awareness. I do believe every woman should carry pepper spray, the dog pepper spray for rape and, self-defense because I don't know, that's just my solution to that.
Yeah.
So tell me the rest of your story.
So, I mean, that's really it. They had a meeting about me because I was wearing cotton, and then they were like, "You don't have a coat," and I was just like, "That wasn't in the email." And and so they were like, "You don't have anything besides cotton," and I said, "Why? What's wrong with cotton?" Like I didn't know any of this, and they're like, "Well, you're going to be freezing, you're going to be wet, you have no change of clothes." Like there was all these factors. So they also like during the torture. So like for myself, I was really lucky. I ended up escaping. So I didn't even get, so we were split up into two groups. And one group was like, did you ever see the movie Sound of Freedom, or heard of it? So it's about sex trafficking. The guys that were part of that were in this class, were part of that organization, and they would go in and rescue kids from sex trafficking. So they were doing this to train and go through, situations like this. And then we were just, the other group was just like kind of just doing it to do it, like, like to, in case something happened, right?
And the group on the sex trafficking, is this across Mexico, the borders? Where are they
They
going?
just go all over. They're like an organization. They're called Operation Underground Railroad. The movie Sound of Freedom is based off of Tim Ballard, the guy that created the organization. And they have people that volunteer that go and, rescue kids from all over the
Oh, so
world.
this is in America, sex trafficking where somebody, a civilian, notices it. I don't know why you just wouldn't call the police. They're
No,
going
like
in
they don't, no, no, no. It's not like that. It's like they're actually like actual people that are trained. They're like former military, former SWAT, and they get sent to rescue kids. So
in
it's not
another
like they
country.
just see something. Yeah, they've been to a bunch of other countries. I think they also, it's based off of here, and America's the number one place where people are sex trafficked. So, but they have
In
been,
terms of like the problem solver in me, the
yeah.
reason I'm asking these questions is, well, say I was wherever these sex traffickers are, they're in a town, a city, probably a bigger city than a smaller city, because then they go unnoticed. You can't, if it's a small town, you notice the people.
Mhm.
It's a big town. They keep them locked up. I'm going into a city. I don't need a sleeping bag. I need a passport, an airline ticket. I need to know the bus route, the train stations. I need to get out fast. I don't know where the survival kidnapping thing comes in for sex trafficking, but I haven't seen the movie.
Well, it's not okay. I'm probably not making myself super clear. So, it's for like if you're in a dicey situation. Like, what if you're going to rescue a kid and then they come and grab you and then they're questioning you, they're interrogating you, because this is a very
Yeah.
dangerous situation. When you are
I'm
rescuing a
dead. Just to let you know,
child, yeah.
I'm a poor fighter. I get my butt kicked. If it comes down to it, though, if it comes down to it, my instincts are, yeah, I'll do what I need to do
Yeah, I mean that's what happened.
for that. It's instinctual. When it really comes down to it, it'd be like a mother, and her kids being some harmed. It's instinctual self survival at some point, I think.
I think, I mean, yes, because I experienced that myself. Instincts just kicked in. That's how I ended up escaping, and it just like happened. However, I believe that if you're telling me that you're a poor fighter, you should be involved in self-defense. If you're telling me that you're a good fighter, you should still be involved in a form of self-defense. I feel like if you are that this is a very, especially now.
Okay, I want to hear your escape story, but real quick, or I'll tell you after, to ask me to tell you about my experience trying to learn how to fight.
Uh,
But first tell me how'd you escape?
I, they threw a flash pin in the room, screamed, "Everybody get down." We were surrounded by over 20 people. They were flanking us on both sides. They'd grab you, they put a bag over your head, they zip tied you, and then they, put you in an area where, they collected all of us. And I had Coach Mack in my head, the Navy SEAL that trained me, because I was originally like, I jumped down, my head was on the floor, like just terrified. And I had him in my mind saying situational awareness, look up, know what's going on. So I looked up, I looked at what was going on, and I saw some of the guys like barreling through the door and getting through the people that were coming to put a bag over them. And I was like, oh my God, like I forgot about escape. Like I forgot that you can just escape and not get kidnapped in the first place, right? So I jump up and I start running and they start grabbing. And I'm like, okay, they're going to catch me. I'm tiny. I'm easy to be seen. I got to make myself small. So I jumped back down. That way, eyes were not on me. They were on everyone that was trying to run. And then I looked back up to see when an opportunity was for me to get back up. And they grabbed one of the girls' backpacks. And as she was shimmying out of the backpack and they were doing their best to grab onto her. And there was a small little opening for a 5-foot human being under 100 pounds to just run right through. And I did. And then next thing you know, I was running and they had paintball guns. So if they were to shoot you, you had to go down because they wanted it to be like, if you were shot, to go down and slow down and then they could grab.
How many civilians, kidnappees, and how many bad guys?
There were 12 of 11. There was 11 of us. 11 of us. There were 12, but 11 of us went through it. Someone had to leave early. So it was 11 of us. And then there was like over 20 people that were just grabbing and
So 2 to 1,
yeah, maybe a little bit more than
two
that.
bad people to one good person.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bad people.
Yeah, and they were yeah, so then I just ended up
Because
being
one
able.
of my thoughts was instead of running, here's what I have a tendency to do. I've been in situations. I tend to um, help the people that remain. So I was going
Mhm.
to wonder why instead of trying to escape, they didn't teach you maybe like you were asking me how to fight, teach the group how to instead of escape, maybe overcome your attackers.
But the thing that I would say is like, because I left my team behind. So they split us into two groups, and there was the guys that ended up escaping, and then there was the other guys that I was with. So there was that, that group that came together, and then there was just us random guys. So we were all supposed to be when you have to be in pairs. That was their number one rule, even though in real life you might not be in pairs. Their number one rule was you had to be in pairs because it was for safety reasons.
Yeah, when you
And
escape and you're cold or you get hurt, it's helpful to have somebody with, which is
of
also
course.
why I was thinking it's better to stick with the team than run out the door by yourself. Because what if you get outside, it's freezing and you're lost? And the guy you left behind actually has skills in terms of navigation. It's better to stick together.
Yeah, so you have to stick with somebody just because of safety.
Got
But
it.
that was their number one, that was their only rule, I think, or their number one rule.
So when you were running to escape,
Yeah.
where was your partner?
So, okay, so I left everybody. So what happened was is the team that was escaping, I saw, oh my God, they're escaping. I didn't even know that. I thought you had to be kidnapped. So I saw them and I started running with them. So they ended up actually escaping. So I joined them and I left my team behind. So my team ended up getting kidnapped and they got tortured and I just abandoned them. And then when I saw them in the
What happened
morning,
to your partner, the one you're supposed to be paired with? Did you leave him or her also?
I left them behind. Yeah. I left them behind and I just went with this other group. I went with the group I wanted to be with, like the one that's escaping. I did not want to
You're
be tortured.
remembering like stick with somebody, but could be anybody though. It didn't have to be.
Well, we were put into two groups. So technically I was supposed to stay with the group that I was with, but
Mhm.
I left them.
Well, you
And
have instincts. You were doing like forget about the rules. There's chaos, and I'm just throwing away the map and going with my
I
gut.
just saw them leaving and I just was
Yeah,
like, I don't want to be freezing and cold and
got it.
miserable. I'm already miserable. I want to get
Hmm.
out of here. My team was like in the morning, you just left us. And I was like, well, I was the one that was going, see, like you said earlier, you said I'd be helping them. And for me, helping them is escaping because me and all of us being tortured and stuff like doesn't help anybody. But me escaping allows me to go and get help. And that's how I think about it. And because the thing is that in a situation like that, you have to be thinking about getting help and getting out of there. And I could always come back for that group, but I can't do anything if we're all being tortured together. So that was my mentality for it. And I also I do think that your instincts kick in. However, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't train with the Navy SEAL. So like if I didn't prep for this sort of kidnapping experience
Hmm.
and I would have just went in as Gina prior to the Navy SEAL experience, I would have epically failed. I would have been tortured. I probably would have went like called my safe word. I don't think I would have
So
made it
you
out.
escaped. Tell me then what happened with the escape when you're with 5 other people.
Yeah, then we split up into two twos. It's six of us as a split up into two and twos. And then that way they can't just track us all because they're tracking us now and there's footprints and all this stuff. So we just split up into groups and we had to survive the night and, make sure we're not caught, make sure they don't find us, make sure we stay warm. We're sleeping on the ground, 37 degrees.
This is in the United States, right?
It was in Big Bear, California.
So you got some trees, the forest you mentioned. It's
It
cold
was
at
the
night.
woods. You're in the middle of the woods on a mountain. You're literally, we slept on the side of a mountain. So it was
And
like
so did you
very
know
steep.
where you were in Big Woods? Or you had to navigate to the highway or something like that without knowing where you were
No, no,
lost?
no. It's no, no, no. So, it's like, yeah, if it was a real kidnapping, then yeah. But and the thing is like there is a road and there's a mountain that you drive up to get to the top of it, so you just can find your way down, that's not the difficult part. For us, you have to stay in a parameter. It's like it's not a free for all. You have to stay in a parameter. So on day one, they go through everything with us. They go through how to escape.
So when you escaped, are you saying you were told you don't run to the highway because you stay within our class boundary, like sleep in the woods?
Okay. You are given a big parameter. So if you wanted to go onto the road, it's not a highway because it's a mountain, so it's a road. You're welcome to, but why would you go onto the road? Because they're on the road. They have the cars. So you want to try and get down to, you don't want to be on the
Oh,
road.
okay, so
That's where they're going to be.
by road is I meant a normal highway. You're not at a normal highway. You're still in the backcountry, like this is a Forest Service road.
You're on the top of a mountain. So like to get to a highway, you have to go all the way down to the mountain, right? Which is miles and miles and miles, right? So that's not the objective. The objective is to survive the night because it's a weekend course. So it's like the first day you're learning and growing. The second day you're being kidnapped, and that carries you into the third day.
I
And
see.
then
We're not in a true let's escape mode. We're in a kind of
I'm kidnapping you, I'm torturing you, you have to escape and make it all night and not get caught. And then in the morning you debrief. So you go through like what happened, what you were experiencing, like what everyone
I'm
went
kind of a
through.
rule breaker myself. If they said don't get caught, I'd be like, I'm going for the highway. I'm going to 7-Eleven, Circle K. Panhandle gonna
That's
get
not
me somehow.
around. That's not around. I mean, it's literally like that would have been like, I don't know, like 50 miles from us. Like
Oh,
that's,
okay.
yeah. So like for us, there was no
I see.
convenience store. There's no small town. It was like you're on the top of a mountain, and to get
Well,
down,
how do they find you when they want to find you in the morning?
no, you go back to so the more
Oh, what
when
if
you
you're
make
lost
it,
though? What if you get lost? Do you have a
well,
tracker
that's
on
why
you?
there's a buddy system.
Well, that doesn't do
And
much good. Plenty of people get.
if you're not there in the morning, then they'll go out and find you. But
I see.
it's not, I mean, again, they teach you the navigation and the way you're running and where you're running and stuff like that. It's pretty easy to get your bearings. And also, I was with a group that, we all were able to figure it out and get lost. You're not running miles and miles and miles away.
It sounds like like a valuable experience for you. How
Yeah.
was life different after you took it? What was different in your life?
So you're way more aware of your surroundings, right? You're carrying protection at all times. You are taking self-defense classes. For myself, I mean, at least, like a lot of the people that I spoke with afterwards, like that I'm friends with and stuff like that, like, you become more um survival, you become more of a survivalist. A lot of us that went into it weren't. Like I had a brain scientist with me. And then you just
What do you think about I don't really like to use this phrase, the law of attraction, meaning the more I train and think about something happening, the more I could find myself in that experience versus, okay, I have this tool and if I ever need it, I can use it. So I'm good now. It seems like you're preparing for something to happen still. Are you worried about it happening?
I don't, so I think the law of attraction is kind of interesting because what it teaches you is that you are thinking about something and then it's going to automatically come. They forget about like you got to take action towards what you want, right? And you think 6,000 thoughts a day. Not all 6,000 thoughts come true.
Not for the kidnapping. You were earlier saying you're in LA, you're worried it could happen to anybody get kidnapped. So that's kind of like it's beyond my control. What I mean, how your life was different was how were you able to use these resilience skills outside of the box, outside of worrying about kidnap? Like you went on to form a nonprofit and do some other cool things.
Right.
Did they teach you a mindset that enabled you to do those other things? That kind
I
of change.
gotcha. So, yes and no. I think The training with the SEAL, which led me up to, which prepared me for going through the kidnapping, is what I would say helps me the most. I take those lessons that I learned and they've had impact and changed my life. I'm a
Yeah.
speaker, so I go around, I speak about resilience, I speak about that experience and the lessons that I learned.
So Gina, what's next for you? You can't top Navy SEAL training.
I have a new children's book that's coming out. You really truly are enough. I got a Kickstarter campaign for that. So
Your website, Gina's website, be in the show notes. It's Gina Casazza, two Z's. Gina. Anything else we haven't talked about you want to add?
no, that's all. Thanks so
It
much.
was a good conversation. Thanks,
It
Gina.
was
Thanks.
fun.
Thanks so much for being on my show.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Have a good day.